From the three Benghazi witnesses who testified in front of the House Oversight Committee today. The #2 diplomat in Libya at the time of those attacks, Gregory Hicks, Libya's regional security coordinator, Eric Nordstrom, and State Department official Mark Thompson, all contradicted the White House's version of what took place that day and the White House explanation of its response in the days and weeks that followed. Congressional investigators learning key details that haven't been made public by the Obama administration. We begin with the lack of a response to Americans under attack by terrorists and the poor communications between the State Department and the Pentagon. Hicks confirmed that forces were available in Tripoli, but were told to stand down before they could embark on a rescue attempt.
We determined that we needed to send a second team from Tripoli to secure the airport for the withdrawal of our personnel from Benghazi after the mortar attack.
But were any of these U.S. military personnel not permitted to travel on a rescue mission or relief mission to Benghazi?
They were not authorized to travel.
What happened with those personnel?
They remained in Tripoli with us.
We also learned that Hicks was never contacted by the ambassador to the United Nations, Susan Rice, or her staff before she went on 5 separate Sunday morning talk shows to deliver false talking points regarding a so-called protest sparked by an anti-Islam video. Hicks said everyone on the ground that day was aware from, as he put it, the get-go, that it was a terrorist attack.
So fast forward, Mr. Hicks, to the Sunday talk shows and Ambassador Susan Rice. She blamed this attack on a video. In fact, she did it 5 different times. What was your reaction to that?
I was stunned. My jaw dropped, and I was embarrassed.
Did she talk to you before she went on the 5 Sunday talk shows?
No, sir.
You were the highest-ranking official in Libya at the time, correct?
Yes, sir.
And she did not bother to have a conversation with you before she went on national television?
No, sir.
Hicks added that the president of Libya was furious after the Ambassador Rice appearances because he went on those same Sunday talk shows and he described the attack as a pre-planned terror attack. According to Hicks, Mohammed al-Magharaf felt embarrassed, and he then delayed the FBI investigators from going to Benghazi, a delay of 17 to 18 days. Oversight Committee member Congressman Trey Gowdy was one of those questioning witnesses today. He joins us in moments with his assessment of the extraordinary testimony that we heard. The Benghazi whistleblowers themselves revealed new information about the events of September 11th, but they left a sizable number of major questions unanswered. And among those questions, why did the Obama administration insist upon carrying out a media campaign to blame the deadly attacks on the amateur producer of a poorly produced YouTube video lampooning Muhammad and Muslims? Fox News Chief Washington Correspondent James Rosen has the report.
Every piece of information that we get, as we got it, we laid it out for the American people.
If any administration official, including any career official, had been on television on Sunday, September 16th, they would have said the same thing that Ambassador Rice said.
Those statements about what the Obama administration knew when UN Ambassador Susan Rice appeared on the Sunday shows of September 16 came under fresh assault.
Did you report to anyone in Washington within the first couple of days that there was anything in connection, a protest in connection to a YouTube video?
No, the only report that our mission made through every channel was that there had been an attack on a consulate.
Not a protest?
No protest.
Further evidence that Mr. Obama's aides knew Rice's narrative was false came when a GOP lawmaker read from a previously undisclosed email that Beth Jones, acting Assistant Secretary of State for the Mideast, sent on September 12th about her discussions with the Libyan ambassador.
This is from Ms. Jones to you, to counsel for Hillary Clinton, to Victoria Nuland, to Mr. Kennedy, And I'm going to read from it. When he said his government suspected that former Gaddafi regime elements carried out the attacks, I told him that the group that conducted the attacks, Ansar al-Sharia, is affiliated with Islamic terrorists.
On September 14th, a CIA document, first published in the May 13 issue of the Weekly Standard, likewise stated, "We do know that Islamic extremists with ties to al-Qaeda participated in the attack." Yet Rice and other senior U.S. officials, far from putting out every piece of information as they got it, continue to press the false narrative.
Our initial information, and that includes all information, we saw no evidence to back up claims by others that this was a pre-planned or premeditated attack.
I wish I could sit here today and tell you that within days, within a week, by September 20th, when we came up here, we had a clear picture. We did not have a clear picture.
Another newly unveiled email was sent on 9/11 by Mark Thompson, the operations officer at the State Department's Counterterrorism Bureau. With the U.S. annex in Benghazi about to face mortar fire, Thompson wrote to Patrick Kennedy's deputy, wondering why the undersecretary had swiftly rejected the option that the FBI and the Defense Department's Special Operations Command had recommended that night, the deployment of the Foreign Emergency Support Team, or FEST.
You wrote, quote, "I am told that Pat Kennedy participated in a very senior conference call with the White House and discouraged a FEST option. When FBI was contacted, they responded that this situation would be better addressed via a FEST response. Why was FEST not called into action?"
I do not know.
This week, Thompson's former boss, Daniel Benjamin, said the decision not to deploy FEST was the correct one. But the day after the attacks, Thompson wrote in an email to two colleagues,
Daniel Benjamin on the phone this morning. He understands my FEST points, concurs, but expressed his pessimism regarding our deployment and by extension does not intend to lobby for our inclusion, end quote.
In a 5-page, point-by-point rebuttal released late Tuesday night, a senior State Department official argued that FEST could not have arrived in Libya in time to help the besieged Americans, Lou.
And could not have known that they would not. Which leaves open the question that is pivotal here, and that is why they were not dispatched, of course. James, further news made after the committee hearing today. Tell us about that.
That's right. So the chairman of this committee hearing was Darrell Issa, the Republican from California. The ranking Democrat, Elijah Cummings from Maryland. After the hearing, they spoke to reporters, and therein, Congressman Cummings, the Democrat, acknowledged for the first time that he now agrees with Chairman Issa that this panel needs to hear directly in testimony, sworn testimony, from the two men who led the State Department's post-Benghazi review board, former UN Ambassador Tom Pickering and the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen. Today, the committee released a pair of letters they had sent to these two men back in February, asking them to testify as witnesses. They declined. Lou.
They declined, and that's quite a reversal for Elijah Cummings, who at the beginning of this day was absolutely adamant in rejecting this hearing because he believed it was utterly and purely politically motivated. Thank you, James Rosen. Outstanding reporting throughout on this story. We appreciate it. Fox News Chief Washington Correspondent James Rosen.
Thanks.
Today's Oversight Committee hearing on Benghazi took place over the objection of Democrats, including Elijah Cummings. It's remarkable that we have seen this reversal in a matter of some 12 hours, really. We are learning that there is every indication that Mullen will be testifying in this case, so we'll find out along with Ambassador Pickering. Congressman Trey Gowdy, as you've heard in tonight's broadcast, is one of the senior members of the House Oversight Committee. And he made this statement as today's hearing began.
If anyone wants to know what difference does it make, if anyone wants to ask what difference does it make, it always matters whether or not you can trust your government. And to the families, we're going to find out what happened in Benghazi, and I don't give a damn whose career is impacted. We're going to find out what happened.
Congressman Trey Gowdy now joins us. In addition to the House Oversight Committee, he also sits on the Judiciary Committee. He chairs the Subcommittee on Immigration and Border Security as well. Quite a remarkable day, Congressman. It is good of you to be here. The criticisms that arose today were primarily, it seemed, focused on Secretary Clinton, including yours. Explain that, if you will.
Well, what became clear today is that Ambassador Stevens was in Benghazi in part because of Hillary Clinton. She wanted to go to Libya. She wanted a legacy. So he wanted to go to Benghazi and see if that facility was secure. We also learned today that she and she alone can approve the opening or the remaining open of facilities that don't meet specifications. And the one in Benghazi did not meet specifications. And again, we learned today, and that email from Beth Jones, which copied her senior counselor, that they knew this was a terror-related attack on September the 12th, the day after. They knew it had nothing to do with the video. So Hillary Clinton's fingerprints are all over Benghazi.
And the fact that they continued to press that, there was quite a, if you will, a divergence in stories. As you recall, the president, in the midst of a campaign, later in debate, decided that he had declared it was a terrorist attack, even after weeks in which his administration and he were saying again, this was about an anti-Muslim video produced by a man who remains in jail today on a violation of probation charge. Can you square that up at this point?
Well, keep in mind, this was never about winning the argument with this administration. It was just about winning the month. They had to get, from the time of Benghazi, past the general election. Keep in mind the testimony today, by the way, from a career diplomat who doesn't have a political bone in his body, and Gregory Hicks, the video was a total non-event. That's a direct quote. It was never about the video. The video had nothing to do with this. The president didn't have to win the argument for very long. He just had to win it until the first Tuesday in November, and he did.
And it is worthwhile noting that CBS withheld for 3 weeks, just about 3 weeks, a video from an interview that was conducted on the 12th, in which the president indeed acknowledged precisely what you say. Ambassador Pickering and Admiral Mullen. James Rosen has just updated us on the conversation between Elijah Cumming and the chairman, Darrell Issa. Is Ambassador Pickering and Admiral Mullen, will they be testifying before your committee?
I sure hope so. You know, Lou, there was a lot of skepticism yesterday. I heard it, that this was going to be a political exercise, that perhaps the Republicans wouldn't be prepared. I have never seen the Oversight Committee, my colleagues on the Republican side of the dais, as prepared and engaged as they were today. And it is impossible to have watched any part of this hearing and not reach the conclusion that we need additional hearings. And you see the benefit of actually listening to people who know what they're talking about, to eyewitness accounts. I don't want to hear political commentators. I don't want to hear members of Congress. I want to hear people with firsthand eyewitness accounts. So that would include the two men that you just made reference to. The Accountability Review Board, frankly, the word that leaps to mind is laughable. The notion that the State Department can judge itself is no less preposterous than a student grading his or her own test paper. So Congress needs to do its job. Today, I think we proved, even to our Democrat colleagues, that we can do it effectively. And Mr. Cummings is a good person. I actually happen to like Elijah Cummings, and I am pleased not only with what he said to Chairman Issa, but also what he said to Jason Chaffetz. If you'll remember, he asked for 5 seconds during Chaffetz's time and said, right, you know what, I agree with you. I agree with you, Mr. Chaffetz. We need to hear from everybody.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't know that I've ever seen, certainly a ranking member of a committee as important as the House Oversight Committee, certainly, be as declarative and outspoken as he was in opposition to a proceeding, and then, based on obviously a reaction to what he heard from those 3 witnesses today, make a judgment on principle and intellectual integrity of the kind that he's just made, saying that Pickering and Mullen should be before the committee. Congressman, it's
kudos
always,
to him.
absolutely. And to you. Congressman Trey Gowdy, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate it.
Much more.